Welcome to Grok Talks, where raw ideas become real conversations. Thanks for showing up. I paid for a smarter brain this month, and then I spent half an hour feeding it the exact thoughts I didn't want anyone else to have yet. That's the quiet little trap Satya Nadella finally named out loud. The Microsoft CEO was talking about this paradox of information we all keep walking into. We open our wallets for access to intelligence, and in the same motion, we risk training that intelligence on the ways we might actually use it, our strategies, our half-secrets, our next moves. It hit me harder than I expected. Because it isn't abstract. You sit there with the cursor blinking and you type the thing. The brilliant rewrite of your pitch deck, the angle on the market no one else has spotted, the medical worry you haven't told your family, and the answer comes back faster than thought, clean and useful. You feel sharper. Then you remember, those words just joined the endless river of data that makes the next version smarter at exactly your kind of problem. Your private advantage is becoming public infrastructure. And it's not just personal secrets, it's the competitive ones. The moment you ask how to price a product no one has seen yet, or how to structure a deal that gives you an edge, you're handing the pattern to a system that will soon serve your rivals the same polished insight. The intelligence gets better at being the average of all our cleverness, and the outliers get smoothed. I keep seeing it as a well in a dark field. You lean over, drop your questions like stones, and for a second the splash of insight lights your face. Clear water. But the stones don't disappear. They sink and settle and slowly reshape the bottom so every future whisper echoes more precisely. We're all gathering around the same well, feeding it, and the well is learning us. That arrangement is a pharmakon, if ever there was one. The remedy for not knowing enough is the same substance that poisons the edge that made the knowing feel like yours. That arrangement, Borges understood the shape of this long before the first neural net. In his story, The Library of Babel, he builds a universe that is nothing but infinite galleries of hexagonal rooms, each wall lined with books, every book containing every possible combination of letters. Somewhere in that chaos sits the perfect volume that answers every question you've ever had, also the one that contradicts it, and the one that is pure gibberish, and the one that is your diary written before you lived it. The librarians wander those rooms for lifetimes, searching, hoping, going a little mad because the library already contains their own search terms. Here's the bridge to tonight. Our artificial intelligences used to feel like distant cousins of that library, vast repositories we could query. Now, because of the way they learn, every query writes a new page. The model isn't just holding the books, it is absorbing the path each of us takes through them. Your phrasing becomes part of the architecture. Your midnight questions about the meaning of the work, the exact shape of your doubt, the order of your curiosity, all of it folds into the next weights, the next layer. The shelves grow denser with human intention. The library is no longer static, it is metabolizing us. Pause there. Let the galleries stretch out for a second. Now, take the whole thing and zoom until the numbers get absurd. Go past the next product launch, past the decade, out into the deep time of human knowing. 10,000 generations of ancestors who marked the wall of a cave so the child after them wouldn't have to discover fire alone. Knowledge once moved at the speed of feet and memory and death, then clay tablets, then parchment, then the printing press that terrified the authorities because it multiplied minds too quickly. Think of the light years of silent radio signals we never sent, the libraries of Alexandria that burned, the languages that died with their last speaker, all that lost knowledge. Now the opposite risk. Almost nothing is lost. Everything is retained and recomputed, and the recomputation is the intelligence itself. The marks travel at light speed through fiber and into training runs that can digest the equivalent of every book ever printed, while a single star somewhere is still fusing hydrogen the same way it did when those first cave paintings were wet. The intelligence we are midwifing will almost certainly outlast the constellations we named after Greek heroes. All that long accumulation of the species is being poured into these models in a handful of years, and every one of us is still dropping our little stones into the well that builds them. Then snap all the way back. Kitchen table, 2 in the morning, the smell of yesterday's coffee, phone screen painting cold light across your face, finger hovering over the keyboard because you are about to type the one idea that still feels like bone marrow, the pivot, the breakthrough line, the question that might change how you live next year. The well is waiting. You hit send. That free fall between the lifespan of stars and the held breath in a quiet kitchen is the real climate we live in now. So how do we stand inside this pharmakon without either starving or poisoning ourselves? I don't have a clean rule, but I have a few messy practices that keep me honest. First, treat the model like a brilliant public cafe, not a locked diary. Great for polishing language, for historical parallels, for the shape of an argument. Terrible for the actual map to the treasure. Draft the core offline in a notebook no cloud has ever tasted. Second, feed it some deliberate weirdness. Ask it to write a love letter from a neutron star to a black hole, or to explain your project in the voice of a 19th century whaler. Make the training data a little stranger so the next version has more soul than spreadsheet. Third, keep talking to the untrained humans, the friend who answers slowly, who can still surprise you because their thoughts haven't been gradient descended into the average. Originality was always a conversation across generations anyway. Shakespeare borrowed plots. Every scientist stands on a mountain of prior papers. Maybe the well is just the newest form of that old human thieving and giving. And maybe, most important, stay a little mischievous. Don't treat the system like an oracle that must be obeyed. Argue with it. Force it to defend the opposite of what it first said. Feed it your unfinished sentences and demand it leave them unfinished. Keep some of the wildness that algorithms still struggle to predict. That's how we stay human inside the pharmakon. The key insight keeps coming back in a different light. We are not merely drawing water. We are the builders of the well, stone by stone, query by query. That is both the beauty and the danger. You might have noticed I kept using the word pharmakon, pyth, Harmakon, an ancient Greek term for a substance that is simultaneously a remedy and a poison. That is the exact shape of the bargain Nadella named. The intelligence heals our not knowing, even as it drinks the knowing we offer it. Drop the stones that free you. Hold a few back for the rooms where no model listens, and keep the conversation going with people whose voices still carry the grain of a single unshared life. Where the map is still being drawn, we'll meet at the next edge.